My brush with death in a Podunk Bar. My truck broke down on the way down to the beach, in a little podunk town with a trailer for a courthouse and a field for a church. This is not some figurative bullshit. I mean it. There was a large marble cross in a field, and in front of it was rows and rows of pews, facing a folding table with a white tablecloth. I imagined the preacher used a bullhorn to conduct services. Needless to say, this town didn't strike me as a place firmly situated in the 21st century, so I was quite astonished at the technologically advanced interior I encountered when I entered the local watering hole. On the outside, the typical trappings of a dive bar, but on the inside, futuristic furnishings and automated service. Employment was strictly relegated to robots. The bartender was a robot, the waitresses were robots, and the maitre d' or bouncer, don't know which, was a robot. He was thicker and taller than the rest, but very genial in manner and speech. "May I take your jacket, sir?" it asked. "I don't have a jacket. It's 90 degrees outside." How silly of me. Yes, of course. Why would you have a jacket? Habit, I guess. You are the first customer since winter. I was quite surprised to hear this because scattered throughout the bar were men and women that I assumed were biologically classified as human beings. Yet none of them were coherent. Their heads were buried in their folded arms, either unconscious or asleep. Winter? How long have these people been here? Since winter. He stared at me with his 3 robotic eyes. These synthetic beings were slender and quite attractive. They were constructed to look like humans with the exception of the third eye centered in their foreheads and the artificiality of their monotone voices. The walls flashed different scenes of nature. On one wall was a video panning through a cascade of purple mountains. Another one was a seascape with pink sand beaches. The air was permeated with a smell of cinnamon and pine. "Would you like a drink?" "I need a mechanic. I'm broke down. I need to get back on the road." "Headed to the beach, sir?" "Yes." As soon as I said that, I was visually transported to the beach with pink sand. The waves were folding gently into the shore, echoing a peaceful sound of crashing water. I turned and looked all around me. I was no longer in the bar, but on a beautiful foreign beach. Lonely, I surmise. The robot snapped its fingers. People appeared, crowded around, immensely interested in me. "Hey, Chris, how you doing?" one shouted. Another commented on how well I look. "You're the best," exclaimed a third. The comments were numerous and affable. "Too much, sir?" the robot asked. "Yes, amazing. But I know bullshit when I hear it. Again, is there someone who can fix my car?" "Well, yes. System 472, she is well acquainted with human modes of transportation, among other things. She is a full-service robot, if you know what I mean." He nudged me with his elbow and winked his third eye. I was transported back to the bar. A feminine robot was standing in front of me. "Hello, sir. I am System 472. How can I service you?" "I just need my car fixed. Can you do that?" "Yes. But first, why don't you have a drink?" "No, I'm ready to get down the road. If you can't fix my car, then I'll go find someone who can." Every human that resides in this town is presently in this bar. None are available to help you. The scene yet again changed before my eyes. It was an instant flash, a subliminal vision of a theater of seats with a multitude of people seated next to robots, electrical cords connecting each to the other. One particular sight stuck out to me. An elderly woman, head slumped down, with a cord extending from the back of her skull to the side of a robotic man. A flashing white light was emanating from the top of its head. "Sir?" It grabbed me by the shoulder and escorted me to the bar. The female robot pushed me down into an empty bar stool. A holographic image of Patrick Swayze was sitting next to me singing, "She's Like the Wind." A robotic bartender with a curled-up mustache slid a highball glass of green liquid towards me. "Sorry, sir," said the bartender, "but he is broken." "So? I'll have to hear that song all night? Now I know I need to leave." "No worries, sir. A few sips of this concoction and everything will be all right," it said as the bartender tapped the rim of the glass with its index finger. The glass was frigid, almost too cold to handle. I lifted it up to my lips and took a sip. A warm feeling gently trickled down my throat and into my stomach. My whole body tingled, and I was enamored with everything around me. I was in a state of immense pleasure, both physically and mentally. I gulped the rest of the soothing liquid down and laid my head on the bar. Patrick Swayze's singing slowly faded away. I was in darkness, maybe in a womb, whatever the case. It was a comforting darkness, not something to be feared. I never wanted to leave. "Sir, we have a task for you." I lifted my head and forced my eyes open. The maitre d' robot was standing beside me with its hand on my shoulder. For the first time, I noticed that it was wearing a large black bow tie, ridiculously large. I laughed. "Yes, it is ridiculous. I quite agree, sir, but back to the matter at hand." "Yes, my dear gentleman," I answered. "How may I be of assistance?" "Ah, you are so agreeable. Yes, as I said, we have a rather bizarre task, or favor, I should say, that we need from you. We will pay you handsomely, not in money, mind you, but in wishes or fantasies. For you see, we can control the mind, make it believe anything we want it to believe. If you want to be famous, we can create that for you. Whatever you want. The details are inconsequential to us. In return, you have to endure a little gruesomeness every so often." I need to go. I appreciate everything. I tried to get up, but the robot pushed me back down against the bar. "I can't let you leave. Either you help or you become food, or energy, correctly speaking." "Food? We are bound by the atmosphere of this ship. We can't leave, but dare I say, we have accumulated quite a bit of trash." It grabbed me by the forearm and pulled me towards a door opposite the bar. The robot pushed open the door. A foul stench of death and rot permeated the air. I coughed and vomited on the floor. "Yes, gruesome. We have, unfortunately, olfactory senses as well as you do. We are only part robot, a form satisfactory for the preservation of our species, yet not sophisticated enough to rid us of our primal behaviors. And we have depleted this town, our food source, for some time now." It forced me down the stairs and into a dimly lit basement. I was befuddled. Even though I was below the ground, the walls of the basement seemed to extend beyond the height of the bar upstairs. Stacked in one corner was an enormous pile of bodies, humans shriveled and drained of their insides. Their faces were sunken in, and their ribs were protruding through their flesh. In some regards, we are similar to your fly species. In other ways, we are not. They are immune to decay. We feast as they do, but we are sickened by decomposition. In short, we need you to dispose of the shells of these poor creatures. Nothing else is edible." "May I have another drink?" I asked. "Certainly, sir. I know it's a difficult proposal, and we will give you plenty of time to deliberate. But, to be honest, the decision is twofold." "I know. Food or assistance." "Yes, sir. Aptly surmised." It led me upstairs, back to the bar. Another green elixir was placed in front of me. Patrick Swayze was glitching, moving back and forth, singing over and over again. "She's like the wind," the piano repeating a caterwauling melodic theme. The bartender looked different now. Its body was still the same, but its head resembled a fly's head, with large red compound eyes, antennae, and a long, sharp proboscis extending from the bottom of its head. "Sorry, sir, but I could no longer put on pretenses. That damned mask is hot. Drink up, you'll feel better." I grabbed the glass and headed to an empty table by the door. I knew I had no chance to escape, but I didn't want to be near the bartender. I was uneased, to say the least. Far away from the bar, I could hear a different type of music playing, composed of instruments I had never heard. The melody was both alarming and beautiful. I ruminated on the possibility of being happy and satisfied with working for a bunch of alien insects. I would on occasion have to endure hell, but for the most part, I would be absorbed in whatever life I chose. As I was lost in fantasy and thought, stuck between acceptance and resistance, I heard the door open. A woman had pushed it slightly open without entering. "Hello? I need help. Broken down." I ran toward the door and pushed her back outside. "What the hell? Get out of here!" I yelled as I ran past her. To my surprise, she followed without hesitation. Of course, whether she ran or not was no concern of mine. I was getting the hell out of there. I ran until I got back to my truck. Out of breath, the woman inquired, "What's going on?" "I don't know how to explain it, but you don't want to be in there." A horn blew, and then there was a rumbling. The bar lifted up into the air, dragging grass and mud high into the sky. Below the bottom of the building were 4 larger thrusters belching out fire and smoke. The bar lifted higher, then shot up like a bullet into the sky, far beyond the clouds. "What the hell?" the woman asked. "You just saved my life." "No, you saved me." "What do we do now?" she asked. I didn't answer. Instinctively, I got back in my truck and turned the ignition. The engine roared to life, the most beautiful music I had ever heard. "You were broken down too?" "Yes," I replied. "Do you need a ride?" She nodded her head yes and hopped in on the passenger side. I sharply turned the steering wheel and did a U-turn in the middle of the road. In a short time, we arrived at a red convertible sports car. "Nice car," I said. "Thanks." She jumped out and got into her car. I waited. I heard the engine turn over. In my rearview mirror, I saw her car pulling up beside me. I rolled it down the window. "Where are you headed?" I asked. "To the beach," she replied. "Want to stop at a bar on the way down?" "Hell no," I replied. "But hopefully I'll see you on the beach." I never did see her. A shame, really, but then again, I have my limits. I'm not a prudish man, but it's always been a policy of mine not to get involved with women you meet at a bar, especially one full of insect, human-eating aliens. It's just a bad omen. Aha! You survived the story. Think you can handle how deep, dark, and disturbing the rabbit hole goes? Click on the playlist and let me know in the comments where your breaking point is.